Many conservatives feel targeted as the social media app Parler is removed from several app stores. Fox 5 legal analyst Wendy Patrick joining us now with the very latest. Wendy, good morning. It's like one thing after another.
Good morning, Shelley. We never have to worry about having something to report on, do we?
Ain't that the truth? Okay, this app Parler, why was it taken offline in the first place? And for those who may not know what Parler is, explain that to us.
Well, Parler has been very popular as an alternative to Twitter for conservatives primarily. However, it has come under fire in recent days because of the voices of a few. And those have been voices that have been trying to incite violence. Now, we've seen voices like this on a variety of different social media platforms. And so they were disciplined and deplatformed by Amazon. But there have been plenty of other places in which similar voices have been heard. And that leads to what you led off with, this allegation that they haven't been censored but canceled, or at least that's what they're arguing, at least in their lawsuit, that Amazon is trying to do.
Can you do that? Can you just take off an app, like these companies that just make this decision that we're going to remove you from this or remove you from that?
Well, it would be a breach of contract action or argument that they would be making. In other words, you violated our terms of service. So here, for example, by allowing voices on your platform that are trying to instill violence, that are trying to incite others. I mean, boy, if there's anything that is just an absolute agreement nowadays, it's that we don't want anyone inciting violence. But the question is that why they were taken off the platform? Or is it an attempt to basically silence one side of the argument? Because the problem is you don't silence voices, you just drive them underground and you take away a particular megaphone, they go somewhere else. But what Amazon and anyone else that cancels a service would argue is it's not just because they don't like what they're saying, but because they're not complying with the regulations that you're not allowed to incite violence.
Wendy, I can think of a whole lot of instances over the past years, months, where there are apps, there are accounts that have put information out there that is clearly not true. And I meant to ask you about this. I've been meaning to ask you about this as well. Given all that has happened with President Trump and the removal from his, the Twitter account and whatnot, there was a lot of call from the community saying, well, what about this leader? And what about this president in this country? They have been saying all kinds of things over the past few years, and you let them have an account.
That's exactly the argument, Shawley, is that everybody agrees there should be equal justice under law and equal regulation under the regulatory administration. And that's the problem, is if you are going to censor certain voices, then it has to be consistent with respect to what is the rhetoric. Who are these people? When did you censor them? How long are they censored? Are they simply suspended, like remember Apple has done? That would be an example of trying to gain compliance, not censorship. There's a big difference. That's a distinction with the difference. Mm-hmm. And that's the argument that they seek to overcome, is that are you just picking on certain voices or certain viewpoints, or are you going to say that simply because there are 5 drunk people in the bar, it's okay to take away everyone's keys, even the non-drinkers? So that's the analogy that really frames the argument.
Is that what Parler is saying now? That they're saying, why are you targeting the whole app? Why not select the users that you have proof are doing such a thing?
Well, Amazon's arguing it's Parler's job to target the users and that they haven't done that. So Amazon is arguing, look, we gave you notice, we gave you examples. They claim to have given 98 examples on Saturday in order to force Parler to comply with the terms and conditions and make sure they don't allow these voices to be on their platform. Amazon claims Parler didn't do that, so they had to take at what they consider to be a last resort of deplatforming. And then, of course, Parler has another side of the story, and as you know from law school, that's why cases end up in a courtroom, because there are dramatically different viewpoints being advanced here. One thing that's very important about this lawsuit, Shawley, is it probably isn't the last of its kind. I mean, we speak through social media. It's a viewpoint-based forum for everybody. So many people rely on it that people are very concerned when you have at least allegations that one side of the argument is being censored simply because of which side it is.
This conversation could go on and on, Wendy. I mean, just not even in this, right, in this arena, but just the whole dynamic of social media and what it has done There's good, there's obviously the negative that comes with it, but people have their opinions. And where do you draw that line to say, you know what, okay, that's enough. We don't want to hear what you have to say anymore?
Well, we could do a whole segment on that, Shelley. It's such a great question. The short answer is all platforms have the rules. You can't incite violence. You can't engage in particular types of speech. That's clear. That's across the board. But the first point you made, I think, is very important, is there's a lot of people that believe the way to quash bad speech is through good speech. The reason you have a marketplace of ideas is to overcome evil with good. Yeah, those are some of the things that really these platforms have to think about when they're looking at, well, who are we silencing? Why are we silencing them? And can we prove that we're actually doing it because they violated our terms and service? Or is there a reason we just don't want to hear what they have to say? That's the basis of this argument. And that's the basis of this lawsuit, Shelley, as well.
It'll be very interesting to see how this is all going to turn out. Wendy Patrick, always good to see you. Thank you.